Why aren't men getting married anymore? It's not because they hate love or they're against love. It's because the system is actually stacked against them. In 1960, 72% of adults were married, and today it's barely 50%. And among men under 30, it's pretty much nowhere. Here's why. Divorce courts, they'll take all of the man's money, they'll take the kids, they'll take the house. 90% of child custody goes to women, and men pay millions in child support and alimony every year. Then there's the happy wife, happy life culture where men sacrifice everything to keep the peace. Meanwhile, if a man wants traditional roles, it's labeled as toxic. So men naturally ask themselves, what is the upside? And for a lot of guys, there isn't one. It's not that men in general hate commitment. They hate commitment to a system that is designed to punish them for existing. Till marriage becomes a partnership and not a legal liability, men will continue to keep saying, no thanks. Do you think men are right to walk away from the thought of marriage, or do you think that marriage is still worth it? Let me know in the comments.
63% of men have given up on marriage. Not postponed it, not waiting for the right one. Given up, as in not happening, ever. And the women they've been casually dating for 3 years are still dropping hints about Tiffany's. The disconnect is almost artistic. Let's break it down.
My dad said it seems like young men don't want to get married anymore, and I wanted to ask the internet why that might be. Like, I definitely have ideas of why it might be, but I'd rather hear from real people. It's also interesting that it coincides with that statistic that's been thrown around a lot lately, which is that 40% of women of marriageable age are going to be single by the year 2030. And what's interesting is it's by choice. Like, we're all choosing not to do this anymore. And I know that for a lot of women, myself included, there's a lot of hesitancy because we've been hurt and we're afraid. So I'm curious, what is it from the male perspective? Or do you think all of this is just like a consequence of the culture we live in now with like hookup culture and the internet? I don't know. Let me know what I should tell my dad. Thanks.
63%. Do the math on that at a wedding. Every table of 10 men, 6 have already decided they're never doing what the groom is doing today. The groom is paying for the dinner. The 6 are just there for the open bar.
Why men are choosing to not get married anymore. Men have always been expected to work hard, provide for a family, and do the right thing by getting married. But today, more and more men are actively choosing to stay single. And it's not because they want to play the field. The real reason why men are not getting married these days is it comes down to risk versus reward. Marriage used to mean partnership, stability, and overall lifelong commitment from both people involved. But now divorce rates are sky high. Family courts overwhelmingly favor women. And men have heard countless horror stories about guys who lose half their assets or access to their children or having their entire lives disrupted from a bad relationship. And over time, women's expectations have also changed, but men's responsibilities haven't. Men are expected to still be providers, but also split household duties, be emotionally available, and constantly prove themselves to be better than any of her other options. While a lot of women openly say that they don't want to cook or clean, or be traditional in any way, shape, or form. But they still expect men to provide, and overall men can see that that's an awful deal.
On today's episode of Decentering Men, I've been thinking a lot lately about how when a man says he doesn't want marriage and he doesn't want kids, in my experience, what that means is he wants to be a bachelor. He wants to be single forever. And you know what? You're free to do whatever you would like to do, brother. Whereas for me, when I say I don't want marriage and I don't want kids, I don't necessarily mean that I want to be single forever. I am more than content being single. I truly love the life that I have created for myself single. And I know that because of that standard, if a man were to enter into my world, it would only make it better, right? Because that's the only type of man I'm allowing in. But also, I would love to have a lifelong partner. Me saying I don't want marriage, I don't want kids doesn't mean I don't want partnership. It means I want to be in a relationship that doesn't require a contract that is a marriage and almost like a binding entity that is a kid. I want to be in a relationship because we both want to be in the relationship. I want to be in a relationship because you have a crush on me for 60 years. I want you to have butterflies for me, and I want you to care about me. I want you to like me. Somehow we've gotten so far away from that. And husbands and wives, they hate each other, and then they just have kids, and then they just focus on the kids, and they forget that they hate each other until the kid goes to college, and then they look at each other and they're like, I hate you, let's get a divorce. And then they drag out the divorce, and it's just like this terrible process. And anything that is as easy to get as a marriage, but as hard to get out of like a marriage, meaning you could go to your city hall right now and get married. No one's there to stop you or ask any questions. When it comes to a divorce, there's a lot more barriers and steps to go through before you achieve the divorce. Something about that feels like a scam. Something about that doesn't sit well with me, and so I question it. And when I started asking these questions, I started learning that marriage benefits men and it really does not benefit women. And I'm not about that. I also wouldn't want a man in my life who would want to put me in that position. Sorry, that's just my opinion. But anyway, I've been thinking a lot lately about how when a man says he wants no marriage, no kids, he wants to be single forever, and that's fine. Whereas when I say it, I'm not saying I want to be single forever. I'm saying I want an actual relationship where we like each other. And that's like such an obvious and huge difference.
Shit. A red one.
4 years, 2 vacations a year, met his parents, knows his dog's name, still no ring. She thinks he's not ready. He's ready. He's just ready to not do it. Different readiness.
Is that when we started talking, he said, if we last a year, I'd like to get married and try for a baby. So a year came by, nothing. Then he said, well, maybe after 3 years, let's look at it like a lease payment. You get 3 years. 3 years came by, nothing. And then he said, maybe 5. 5 is a big deal. Bet. 5 came. Nothing. So
you're mad at him. Why? Because you didn't weigh in on the overall timeline you wanted to have for your relationship. You just let him decide and you went along with it. You didn't put your foot down and say, hey, I would like to get married before having a kid. Or I would like to get married after this many years, or when a good time came up. Like, yeah, he might have said, after a year, after 3, or whatever. And I think it's great to have goals like that. But the reality is, a lot of things happen in life that we don't expect. And that can alter our goals. Goals aren't always foolproof in that way. And if that is something that meant that much to you, then you should have pushed the issue a bit. And of course, asked him if there was anything that you could do to help encourage the process along. Was money an issue? Maybe you could get another job and start saving more. Maybe planning seemed overwhelming. What could you have done to maybe help with that?
I'm already there. Take a look around.
I want to put my 2 cents in on the whole, how long should you wait to get engaged? Should you break up if he hasn't proposed by this time? Here are my credentials. I was in a long-term relationship for 6 years. We were together for 5 years before we moved in together. We lived together for 9 months. And then I realized not only was he never going to propose, I didn't want him to propose because he was totally incapable of commitment. He was totally incapable of being married, and that's why he didn't want to propose. He couldn't handle that lifestyle, the commitment, and the responsibility. So if you're waiting around hoping that he'll propose and you've put in so much time and you live together and you have pets together, it doesn't matter. That man is emotionally lazy and he's a deadbeat. He's not good for you. If you're ready for that commitment of being married and he's not, especially because you've been together for several years, dump his ass. I dumped my ex after 6 years because he wouldn't commit, he wouldn't propose, and there were a lot of other issues in our relationship. And then I immediately met the love of my life. And I started out by saying, this is what I want. I want somebody who I can be in a long-term relationship with the goal of marriage. Is that what you want? And he said yes. And then a year and 3 months later, we got engaged. And now we're getting married in June, 2 years after I broke up with my ex. So yes, if you break up with the guy who's a deadbeat and won't commit to you, you might find somebody who is looking for what you want. So now we have the same level of commitment. I didn't have to drag him to the altar. I don't have to think about why did he wait so long. He jumped on it because he wanted to marry me. If he wanted to, he would. The man that you're with, that's been waiting multiple years or almost a decade to propose to you, does not want to marry you. You are wasting your time. Fucking dump him.
She gave him a deadline. He said okay. She gave him an ultimatum. He said okay. She moved out. He said okay. She came back. He wasn't there. Okay is the most dangerous word a man can say. Men who are done arguing don't argue.
Check out these divorce statistics for first, second, and third marriages. First marriages are 42 to 44% likely to end in divorce. Second marriages are 60% likely to end in divorce. And third marriages are 73% likely to end in divorce. And supposedly, there's divorce season. More people file for divorce between January and March than any other time of the year. Some researchers believe this is a side effect of the perceived strain on familial relationships over the holidays. Do these stats make you scared of getting married? Because they do for me.
Here's a lovely little PSA that nobody asked for.
Oh boy, buckle up, kids. This one's about to get real.
You wonder why the divorce rate's so high? You wonder why there's so many women in their 20s, 30s, 40s that are not in relationships or not getting married just because they plain don't want to? Or why there's so many single moms in the world right now? It's very easy, very simple. Women are not accepting the bare minimum.
Oh, I see. Funny thing is, neither are men, and that's why we're walking away. Walking away in droves. So, what's any different between men and women in this?
Let me say that again. Women are not accepting the bare minimum anymore.
We heard you, and guess what? Neither are men.
If you want to be a partner, please be a partner. If you want to be in a relationship, please give benefit.
Okay, we actually agree on this point. You should be getting benefit from your partner. So why don't you tell us a few of the benefits that you're going to provide?
To someone, I can pay my own bills, I can make my own food, I can raise my own kids.
Okay, guess what? We can do all those things too.
I understand that you're tired at the end of the workday, but so am I. But guess what? Someone has to do the laundry, someone has to make dinner, someone has to watch the kids.
And someone has to mow the lawn, someone has to fix the car, someone has to... I could list a whole bunch of things that men do that really women don't count as doing chores because it's not something they value. And the funny thing is, even when we do all those things, you discount it because, well, it's not done the way you would do it.
If you're not going to do that with someone, then just don't do it.
Okay, we hear you. That's why we're walking away.
Because we can do it all ourselves.
And so can we.
And we have a lot less socks to turn right side in the laundry.
Well, you got me there. I stand corrected. You see, I thought the things that women valued were love, respect, taking care of one another. Nope, I was wrong. You've enlightened me. It really comes down to one thing. The only thing that matters to women is whether the socks are turned in the right way. And people wonder why. Gentlemen are just plain done.
50% end in divorce. 80% of those are initiated by the woman. 90% of contested custody goes to the mother. The man exits with half his assets and monthly payments for 18 years. These aren't opinions. These are filings. Public record. Men started reading the public record.
All right, so I'm getting married soon. I'm so excited. And one of the things that was a non-negotiable for my fiance and I was getting a prenup. I'm super pro prenup. If you have questions about it, I'm happy to answer it. And I just wrote up an entire report for our Wealthy Girls Club report for October's. So it'll come out on the 15th. All about the prenup process, how much it costs, like everything that I learned. And so it's like top of my mind right now. And I was just thinking about, and one of my best pieces of advice is I'm very pro prenup, like not just for me, but I would recommend it to anyone. But even if you're not getting a prenup or if you're married and you never did, having the conversations about a prenup of, like even just looking up a template and being like, okay, in this scenario, in this scenario, in this scenario, and having those conversations is so empowering. And I just cannot recommend it enough, because those were the things like, those are like the premarital counseling questions and conversations that are so big. And those are like the conversations to me, again, and my fiance, that we both felt were so empowering going into marriage, being on the same page about. And so even if you're not going to get a prenup, have the prenup conversations. And if you're on the fence about it, ask me any questions. I'm happy to answer it and help make your decision.
So let's talk about prenups. Personally, I'm a huge fan. And that's something that I talked about and made clear early on in my dating relationships. And my current man knows that I definitely want a prenup, because his net worth and my net worth are the same. Now, we are not looking at getting married anytime soon, but it's important to have these discussions. And both of us want to protect our assets for our children. Now, perhaps prenups are not that beneficial when you're in your 20s getting married because neither of you have gained a lot of wealth. But by the time you get to your 40s and 50s, I think it's essential to have a prenup. That way, nobody feels like they're getting used. And if something happens and there is a divorce in the future, you can get through it easier. Now, you might be thinking, no, prenups suck because that means you don't trust your partner. And you are right. I don't trust any human being because we're human. We make mistakes all the time. And why would I put my children's future finances at risk? So I would love to hear from you guys in the comments on what your thoughts are with prenups. What has been your experience? Have they worked? And what are the pros and cons according to you? Tell me what you got.
A prenup means you don't trust me. No. A prenup means he's read 3 friends' divorce papers and doesn't want to make it 4. Trust has nothing to do with it. Paperwork does. His accountant recommended it. He listens to his accountant.
Question for the men that say they never want to get married, which I totally get your reasoning. You don't want to get divorced and give up half your shit that you've worked your whole life for. Check, check. Got it. So my question is, for those men, do you live in a state that after 7 years of being in a relationship with someone, dating them, living together, you are married by law anyways? And then a 2-part to that is, what about when you don't want to move into your girl's place? You're like, hey, move into my place, right? So maybe she's renting her house out now and she has to move all of her stuff out, but you don't need it at your house because your house is already fully furnished. What is she supposed to do with her stuff? Because in your mind, if you get divorced, or I guess if you never get married, you guys break up, she would then have to then go rebuild, go rebuy all of the furniture. And as you know, it's always going to be more expensive to go rebuy the furniture you already had, that you had to go sell for pennies to the dollar. So what is your thought there? Do you get like a backup plan is, if we break up, then you have to help fund my furniture purchases because I had to get rid of everything when I moved into your place? Like, what is your guys' thought on this? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. Let's have a combo.
The unmarried man in 2026 is healthier, wealthier, and sleeps better than his married counterpart. The Harvard study of adult development said different things in 2015. The numbers in 2026 say new things. Men are reading the new numbers.
And another thing about marriage. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. You can't pledge to stay in love with someone as much as you can pledge to never have hiccups. I pledge for as long as I live to never have hiccups. What? You could very easily fall out of love. You could fall out of love and fall back in love. No, better yet. You could fall in love with someone else. You're being emotionally intimate with someone at work. Hey, that's a violation, but it happens. You develop feeling for them. All of a sudden, you're in love with Steve at work. And now Craig back at home ain't the only man in your life. You still pledged your life to Craig, so screw your feelings about Steve, bro. It's not about who you're in love with. It's not about who you're infatuated with. It's about who you stood in front of God with and in front of the people you love and in front of the congregation. And you said, every day of the rest of my life is yours. I'm pledging my life to you. You didn't say that about Steve at work. You said that about Craig at home. You know how people have emotions? You know how people can be sad, happy, excited, rage-filled? Being in love is the same damn thing. You're in love. It's an emotion. Here's the thing. Loving someone is different than being in love with someone. Love is more like an action. Okay, when you love someone, you stand by them. You're faithful to them. You're kind to them. And that's why I say, don't recite the vows if you can't honor the vows. I feel like too often people recite these deep, profound vows at the altar, and then they fall in love with Jessica at work, and they're like, screw the vows! No. Just be boyfriend and girlfriend forever. Just have a common law marriage. Just lease an apartment together, have a house together. Just be BF and GF forever if you can't honor the vows. Bro, the vows ain't contingent upon your feelings. They're not. But here's the thing. Love is kind of a habit. Love is kind of learned. So when you repeatedly take actionable steps showing that you love someone, you stay loving them. If you repeatedly resist lust and lean into your faithfulness for your partner, you will stay loving them. And then maybe you'll fall in love with them again. So your partner gained a few libs. Your partner's personality isn't what it used to be. Your partner is honestly just pissing you off. and there's someone younger and hotter and sexier, and they're piquing your interest and they make you laugh, you didn't recite vows to that person. So you better leave them alone, and you better go back to the person that you stood before God with. And that's all I have to say about that. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't take the vows if you can't honor the proud. No, I don't have a rhyme for that.
Handle. That's the framing. Men who don't marry can't handle commitment. The man who runs a business, pays his taxes, maintains a home, shows up for his friends, takes care of his parents, and has been faithfully dating the same woman for 4 years, apparently can't handle commitment. The commitment he can't handle is the specific legal contract that could bankrupt him. Different thing.
As somebody who never got married and doesn't have kids, the older I get, the happier I am with my decision. Specifically, not getting married. Everywhere I look, I see divorce. Everywhere. It's very rare that somebody is married long term and happy. Usually the people who are married after, I don't know, a couple of years, they're miserable. And most of them get divorced. Some of them stuck it out because of the kids or whatever the reasons are. Marriage in today's age is just not worth it. The only thing you're doing if you're getting married is you're risking losing all of your assets. I say all of your assets because there's plenty of men who lost everything, who are now homeless because they got divorced. It's just not worth it anymore, guys. It's not worth it. If you're married and your wife just decides not to work and she's just at home and not doing anything, if you get divorced, you are screwed. You are screwed because you're going to have to pay her alimony and you're going to have to probably give her the house, pay for the house, pay for her lawyer, your lawyer, all of that shit. It can be financially draining. In most cases, it is financially draining. It's just not a good proposition anymore to get married. If you want to be with somebody, be with somebody. Why do you need to be married? You know what? I know why. Because women are pushing for marriage. Women are the ones pushing for marriage. And then women are also the ones that are initiating divorce. Make that make sense. Because women are emotional. They can love you and like you 1 year, and then in 2 months, they don't like you anymore. And they want a divorce. And then you're screwed. Forget about all the wows and everything. If woman changes her mind, and they do change their mind often, as you all know, they change their mind often. One day she loves you, next day she doesn't love you anymore and wants to divorce you. Because that's how she feels. So if she can do that, why getting married? Because if you're not married, she doesn't like you, she can go. You don't lose anything. You don't lose half of your shit or most of your shit. So don't get married. If you want to be with somebody, be with somebody. You can live with them. You can share household with them. You can do whatever you want to do without signing some papers with the state, so the state can decide how to split up your assets when you get married. It's not even if anymore, it's when. So stay smart, don't get married.
He explained it in 90 seconds. Divorce rate, alimony rate, custody statistics, financial exposure. He wasn't angry. He was reading from a spreadsheet. Men who talk about marriage in spreadsheet language are not getting married.
Men who plan to leave don't stay stuck for years. Let me say something that might be hard to hear, but you need to hear it. Men who actually plan to leave their marriage don't stay stuck for years. They don't keep telling you, I just need more time. They don't keep going back home over and over while you're sitting here waiting. Because when a man has made a decision, you feel it in his actions, not just his words. And I know what some of you are thinking, but he told me he's unhappy.
He said he's going to leave. He said I'm the one and that he's in love. And that may be true. But here's what's also true. There's a difference between a man who is unhappy and a man who is ready to change his life. And a lot of women get stuck in the space between those two things. You're holding on to his potential while living in his patterns. And those patterns, they're telling you everything you need to know about what his plan is. If he was going to leave, you wouldn't feel this confused. You wouldn't feel like you're constantly waiting, hoping, analyzing every little thing. You would feel movement, progress. You would feel clarity. You would be able to see it. And if you don't, you have to ask yourself, am I holding on to something that isn't actually moving towards me? Keep that in mind. Think about it. Let's chat about it in Simply Sisters, and I'll see you next time.
Why does every older man always explain to the young men that, hey, when you get older, don't ever get married? I know you're in love with her now, but don't you ever get married. And I mean older, like 55 plus. Like, legitimately, what happened? That entire generation always makes jokes how much they hate their wife or vice versa, right? Did everybody just marry people that they hate? Was everything arranged marriage? No shot to arranged marriage, That's a cultural thing, but have we lost hope?
The old heads are the loudest on this. Don't do it. They're not bitter. They're informed. They've been through the court system. They've seen the friends. They've watched the pattern. The old heads are sending up a flare. The young men are reading the flare.
So I broke up with my boyfriend of 12 years because he wouldn't propose to me, and now he wants to get back together, telling me that now he's ready to get married, and I don't know if I should get back together with him. We were in 9th grade when he asked me to be his girlfriend, and we never broke up. We are very privileged because as soon as we got out of college, we both had a job at his father's company, and we immediately started living together at a family house that he inherited. So by the time we were 22, we had our lives pretty much figured out. We both made like $144,000 a year, like combined. So at 22, that's when he started talking about marriage. He didn't ask me to marry him, or he didn't say that he was going to propose, but he just started talking about like my ring size, what type of wedding I wanted, if I preferred silver or gold jewelry, those things. So 22 went by, no engagement. Okay, no big deal. Then comes 23, and again, no engagement. And it's starting to get on my nerves because I'm like, okay, he's been having these conversations and nothing's happening. But I'm thinking like it's any day now. And when I turn 24, I'm like, okay, this is gotta be the year where he actually proposes. Because it's like 2 years of the same conversation. It's getting tiring. And I start asking him like, what are you waiting for exactly? He would always say that he's just waiting for the right moment, for like that click that makes him want to propose. It took me until I was 25 to start putting the pieces together and understanding that every time he would have conversations about marriage, it was after we had a fight or after things were complicated, and it was always so that I would feel better about something bad that he had done. So it was very manipulative. One thing that girls do that I definitely was guilty of was giving guys timelines that they have no idea about. Like, I didn't tell anything. Basically, by the time I turned 26 this year, I told myself like, this guy has until he turns 27 to propose to me. After that, I knew I was walking away and there was no turning back. Like, I knew that. I even got my own space ahead of time, and all in all, let's just say he turned 27 and the separation was peaceful. He took it very well. Kind of hurt, not gonna lie. Like, he didn't protest that much at all. It kind of felt like he was waiting for that. So this whole thing happened 2 months ago, and last week he showed up at my door, and I hadn't told him where I was living, where I was moving to, and I had forgotten that we never stopped sharing locations. I completely froze because I was like, how does he know? And then he told me, and I wasn't really creeped out by it. I was really nervous. I didn't really know what to say. Just invite him into my place and like show him around. And after some catching up, we're sitting down at my couch and he just pulls out this box. He wasn't on his knees. He wasn't crying. He wasn't anything. We were just sitting down next to each other on the couch, and he just pulls out the box as if it was just the most amazing thing ever. But it felt like it was, here you go. Like, after all this time, here you go. Are you happy with this? It felt really forced, and I voiced this to him. I told him, like, it feels like you're doing this just to get back together with me. He said I was overthinking, that this is really what he wants to do, and that he's not being forced to do it at all. He just realized that he really wants to be with me and that he can't live without me, and that these 2 months made him realize that. He also says that he never realized marriage was that important to me, which, I mean, come on. I'm still very in love with him. He's been my only boyfriend ever, and I'm thinking like I want to get back together with him, but at the same time, I'm not sure because I'm afraid that he will resent me in the future. In 10 years, he's super frustrated that he married someone he didn't want to. Do I throw 13 years down the drain, or do I give him a chance?
The begging is public now. TikTok is full of tips for getting him to propose, passive-aggressive hints, visiting jewelry stores, bringing up his friend's engagement, crying at weddings. None of these are proposal tactics. These are pressure tactics. He feels them all. He's not moving.
And sometimes, once in a while, you'll be eating breakfast and you'll go, "Get me out of here!"
He's not proposing to you, and I'm going to tell you why and what you can do about it. A lot of you are stuck in a situation where you're with a guy, you're cohabiting with him, you're playing families, and you're writing to me saying he is not proposing to you. If you're here and you want the truth, I'm going to tell it to you. If you don't want it, scroll right now. Just scroll. Save yourself the reality check. Men are a very simple organism. They do A in order to get to B. They do C in order to get to D. If you are already have given him everything that he requires, represented by this lunchbox from yesterday from my son, okay? If you've given him everything that he already requires, and then you're asking for marriage, he does not feel the reason or the need to do that. It's very simple. It's not because he's evil, it's not because he's mean, but you've misunderstood the organism. In order for you to get marriage from a guy that you want to get married to, you've got to not have given him a lot of the things represented by those snacks that he would have had. He's got to feel the emptiness of what he is about to have, right? So if you've already given him cohabiting with him, you've already given him cleaning all his stuff, having his kids, living with him in the house, paying the bills together, you've done it all, and you're like, look at me, I'm such a good girl, look at all the things I've done for you, marry me now. Do you know what he's going to hit you with? He's going to hit you with the, I need to spend money on a car right now, I need to set up my business right now, I need to do this. Men perform things out of scarcity and in the knowledge that they need to get to where they want to go. If you're living in a separate house and you're not willing to have kids with him until he proposes to you, then he'll propose to you. Now, that's all fair and good, Margarita. I love that you told me that, but what do? I'm already in that situation. If you're in that situation, this is the only 1 or 2 ways about it, okay? This is what you're going to do. You already got yourself into a fake marriage. You're pretending that you're married, but he's not proposed to you. You can cry to him, you can tell him, oh my God, it means a lot to me. He doesn't care because he's already got the result that he wants. He doesn't feel into your pain. He doesn't care about that. Men care, but not about that, okay? They're like, look, practical things, move aside, woman, with your marriage intentions, okay? You have either got to do one, and that is understand the situation you've got yourself into, appreciate that he's a good guy, appreciate that you're living together and you have this relationship together, and just keep it stepping. Forget the marriage. Be more realistic. Decide that that's fine. You don't need it because you've already decided to play house with him. Or option 2, if it is a deal breaker for you and it's something that's truly breaking your heart, you need to tell him once, last time, not twice, not 500 times. You need to say, Bradford, you see how we're not married? And I told you it's really important. By 3 years, if we are not there, if we're not married or engaged, it's not going to work for me anymore. And I don't want you to reply. I don't want you to say anything. I just want you to know that in 3 years' time, I'm not going to be here. Zip it, give yourself that deadline, and leave. If it's really that important to you, leave. And if it's not a deal breaker important to you, then just ferme la bouche, be quiet, and live your life. Because no matter how much you nag, it's not going to take away the fact that you didn't sell the cow and gave your milk away for free, and now you're running around going, pay me, when everyone's already drank the milk.
He ended it. 4 years in. No warning. No fight. Just, I don't think we want the same thing. He wasn't wrong. She wanted marriage. He wanted to not be bankrupt. They didn't want the same thing. He was just the one honest enough to say it.
I have tried 3 times to do this video, and I don't know quite how to say it so nicely, so I'm just gonna talk how I normally talk. I made a video yesterday about the tips that I would do if I was getting divorced. And all of those tips were the opposite of what I really did when I went through mine. So they were learning things that I shared with you guys. And there was people in the comment section that loved them. And there were people in the comment section that pretty much said, this is why men don't want to get married anymore. And to that, I have a couple comments. Number one, me making a video helping people not get fucked over in divorce should have nothing to do whether people get married if they really believe in the sanctity of marriage. And it's like, why not be prepared for something that could happen? Because I know there's a lot of us out there that married somebody we didn't end up divorcing. I married somebody that I didn't divorce, and I know many of you have too. Who I got married to was not who I divorced. And I went into my divorce thinking I was still with that same person. And therefore, my lack of prep and education made my life a living hell for 8 fucking years. And would I want that on anyone? No. So someone else went as far to say, maybe somebody should start a page on how to save marriages. And honestly, dude, all you got to do is type that shit in and it's going to pop up. I'm not your girl. I'm your girl for, hey, if you're going through a divorce, prepare yourself and get educated. Let me help you. The other thing that, all these comments about this is why men don't want to get married. There's women out there that don't want to get married either because their love languages aren't being met. They're not getting validation from their partner. They're not getting physical touch the way they need to. They're not getting financial security like they thought they would have. They're not getting their needs met on a day-to-day basis. There's no intellectual conversation. But that's like some couples. That's not everybody. I get a lot of times in my comment section, people just saying like all women or all marriages. And it's just like, you know what? Every case is different and every situation is different. So when you come on my comment section and you leave some stupid fucking comment about this is why men don't get, that's why you don't want to get married. Just say what it is. Just say this is why you don't want to get, because I have a man in the living room right now that's a stay-at-home dad that wants to fucking marry me in 2.3 seconds. So there are men that want to get married. There's tons of men that want to get married. They want to find a good, solid relationship to be in. And women want that too. So when you leave a comment that's so derogatory towards all women, like this is why, that reflects you. That doesn't reflect me. That doesn't reflect other people that want to have a good, loving marriage. We just want to have a good foundation. We just want to have a consistency. We just want to have, our opinions to be heard and validated and vice versa. We want just work put in equally towards loving each other. So my divorce tips have nothing to do with me bashing on marriage. My divorce tips have nothing to do with, men not wanting to get married. My divorce tips are don't be me. Don't spend over $100,000 on a divorce, be miserable for 8 years and go, oh yeah, you could have done it different. So I don't know. Your comments say more about you than they do me. I just wish self-reflection and doing some work on yourself would happen versus being a fucking thumb warrior.
34, single, never married, running out of reasons why. The reasons used to work. The reasons used to sound empowering. I haven't found the right one. I'm focused on my career. I don't need a ring to be happy. The reasons are still available. They just aren't landing anymore.
So next week, I turn 38 years old and never been married, no kids, really have grieved that. Not saying it still can't happen, but the thought of hope is painful, because there's no promise of that. But as a Christian, I want to believe that that will occur. And I was given a vision a long time ago of 2 kids and a husband, and I don't know if that will ever come or if it was just encouragement. I don't know yet. But here's the thing I want to talk about, and that is in singleness as a Christian woman specifically. I want to encourage men a little bit, some insight. Maybe this is just me, but I was told when I was in my 20s, when I was not married, and all my friends, and I went to a Christian university, and all my friends got married, that don't wait for the man. Your life does not begin when you're in marriage. So I was like, okay. And one thing led to another. I went through a bunch of health issues, and when the Lord healed me in those areas, I went back to school and became a doctor. And became, later in life, a doctor of chiropractic because it profoundly changed my life. I wanted to serve others the way that it served me. And now it is a ministry for me. And I've opened 2 practices, incredibly just like filled in this, helping people, praying for people, and seeing people really be restored. But in all of that, I've been told by men that I'm intimidating, that I'm a lot, that I'm a deep thinker, that I'm a talker, that I talk too much, that I'm very heady. And in that, I still want a Christian man that's going to lead, and I want to be a submissive wife. So I want to encourage men that even if she seems successful or intimidating, the biggest flex that you can do is make me feel feminine. Because in a world that demands masculinity to be successful in so many areas, not all, but majority, I have to be in a masculine state, my own feminine state in my practice, but I still have to have that masculine side. And personally, I'm looking for a man that will step up and be that masculine, where I don't have to feel any of that. I can just rest in my femininity. And I encourage you to, if you see me at church or you see me, come up and ask me. If I say no, I say no and you move on. But like, I'm not going to approach you. I do that every single day in my job. You make the first move. Make the woman feel feminine, especially those who are later in life. Because what we're looking for is a leader.
What the hell is wrong with me?
63% said no to marriage. Forever. The 37% still considering it are mostly religious, mostly rural, and mostly already committed to women who've been with them for years. The remaining market is small, specific, and not accessible to the women producing this content. Protect your peace, protect your wallet, protect your future self.
Thanks for watching Male Imperium. Please show us your love by subscribing to the channel using the bell icon. We're also up for debate and some healthy banter, so don't forget to comment under the video.